Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Nation Building. On our program, we examine the political, social, and moral issues in the leadership of the Bahamas. On our program today, as always, we have a very dynamic and exciting guest for you, and he's going to talk to you a lot about his history as a young man and being a part of our government and so many other things. So we'll introduce him to you right after this break.
In the past, I've had a lot of issues with service, data service, drop calls. I was encouraged by a very close friend of mine to make the switch, and in doing so, my service has been impeccable. The data is very fast, it doesn't spool, it doesn't take long to load, so everything works beautifully. I like to know what my bills are, and it's important that I'm able to simply just pick up my phone and know what my bill is. The front line for the Valley Boys is comprised of about 200 members. It's very important because to be a successful leader, I need to be able to efficiently and consistently communicate with them. It works that way. It's beautiful. The data that you guys provide is flawless. I'm John Williams, chairman of the Frontline Dancers Association of the Valley Boys, and I believe in best.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama coconut milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau. I don't wanna win. No, I don't wanna win. Hi, good morning. Good morning. Hi, would you like to try our chunk?
I only come in here for 2 items.
Okay, but it'll only take 1 second and it's so delicious. Just 1 second.
Yeah, everything tastes delicious. Wow, it's really good. Where do I find it in the store?
Right this way, let me do it.
Okay.
And stop talking about it. Right.
Wait, I'm glad to see you. Do the shuffle. It's been a while, do the shuffle.
I can't do a shuffle, man.
You know what? You need this.
What's that?
Junkanoo Juice Medley.
That's it. Give me some more.
Come on, yeah, that's it. Jamaica Bahama Imports. Always got it.
Come on down and get your Junkanoo juice today.
It's the market for the entire family. Sawyer's Fresh Market. Bahamian owned and operated, Sawyer's is known for the lowest prices on meats, produce, fresh fruits, and vegetables. Check them out on Facebook and the Freeport News to find out all of their weekly specials and their monthly blowout sales. Sawyer's Fresh Market. Your grocery bill just got lower.
Hello and welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and we're coming to you from beautiful Grand Bahama, the best island in the Commonwealth. I say so. Today we are having a very, very interesting discussion and informative discussion with Mr. Omar Isaacs. Mr. Isaacs is the investment officer working out of the Prime Minister's office. He's an investment officer in Bahamas Investment Authority here in Grand Bahama. Welcome to Nation Building.
Nice to be here. Thank you so much, Mr. Pinnock.
It is always a delight of mine to have young, progressive-minded Bahamians, and especially when they have some experience to go along with it, a resume to go along with it, to talk to our country.
Thank you.
And so today we have a lot to cover. We're going to move right into our discussions, but we want to make sure that people throughout the country, when you speak with some authority on some issues that we'll talk about today, that they understand your background and what qualifies you to share some of the thoughts that you have. So you are a Grand Bahamian.
Grand Bahamian, born and bred. I was born in Iran, like they say, but that's what I take most pride in, being first generation Grand Bahamian. Came up, I'm an 80s baby, came up in the 80s when Grand Bahama was, somewhat in its heyday. But, I never seem to talk about the negatives. I always keep a positive when I talk about Grand Bahama.
Wonderful. Grand Bahama is, in fact, a truly wonderful place to live and to raise a family. And so you talked about the 80s. The 80s, yes, had its era. I was a police officer back then, and I knew of some of the negatives, but we're talking about positive and nation building here, so we'll stay away from that. But let's talk about your background.
Yes.
You grew up in Grand Bahama. Where did you go to high school, and how did you track?
I went to Crusaders Catholic High, then I went on to St. Paul's, and finally I ended up at Miami Northwestern Senior High School. For my senior year of high school, I was an athlete, just trying to gain greater exposure.
Don't jump over that. Let's talk about the transition from Catholic High. What you talk about being an athlete, what was the process? What led you to?
Oh, well, it was just my father and I sitting down and really trying to navigate my future. One thing anyone who knows my dad, Derek Isaacs, knows about him is that he's a planner. And he always feels as if you could think your way out of anything. So that's what he instilled in me. And we sat down and he was like, okay, can't give you a first-class education, but I'm going to give you a gift that's going to get you there. So I ran track and field and I played basketball. When I made a decision to go to Miami Northwestern Senior High School, it was one whereas we had tape footage, we wanted to, get ourselves exposed to Division I colleges, knowing what I needed in ACT scores, SAT scores, and a GPA, and how am I to be seen. And it worked out for me because I ended up getting a 4-year scholarship to the University of Iowa, go Hawkeyes, for 4 years.
Now, for the sake of young men in the country, we have an emphasis, by the way, in this year. I've been beaten over the head too many times to mention by many in the country, and I accept that, for being so heavily politically focused. Of course, you can appreciate last year and the year before we were preparing, going into an election, and last year, of course, coming out of one, and talking to leaders about the future of the country, and that's important too. But so we've switched focus, and so in this whole theme of talking to ordinary citizens, we find that the issue that repeats itself is that the society is eroding, the values in our society, and men missing from the home is a major contributor to the challenges we have. And so you talked about your dad.
Yes.
Many of us men, if you really talk to us long enough, the most of that time sharing our history and our growing up, talk about mama. And you look at America, no different.
Yeah.
But in your case, you had a father, Derek Isaacs, who provided you with quality support, guidance, and we don't want to miss out on that, because for young men watching and understanding how you just surfaced over it. Your dad was heavily involved in our community in basketball and helping to train young men as a coach.
Yes, sir.
So take a minute or two and talk a little about his history, and specifically some of the things that he taught you at an early age to help you to motivate you to want to have that dream to go away to school.
Okay. Well, I cannot speak about D.I., as he's affectionately known, without speaking about Anastasia Isaacs, my mom, a strong, strong black woman, and that's his yin to his yang. I grew up in a nucleus family, and over the years, for me, I never knew how impactful that was until now. Until the now. I'm living in the now where I myself I'm rearing a nucleus family myself. My wife Tara, who's behind me 100%, my 3 kids, Neve, Orion, and Oziah. They're everywhere I go. They're my world. And that's what I learned from my dad. He was always there. I never had to seek validation. I never had to really know what it was to be a man or guess what it was to be a man, because if anybody know him, he's a manly man. And right now, your focus is so on time, because there is a gap that's being looked over and it hasn't been filled. I know Dudley Say just this past Saturday launched the Reach Out Ministries Big Brother program, a mentoring program for young men throughout Grand Bahama right now. But we're looking to reach out to other islands in short order. But you don't have to have money or instill or invest money into somebody for you or for them to be successful. I take a note from Jacob Israel when he in Genesis spoke over his sons' lives. Just the simple fact of my dad sitting me down and speaking into my life that, hey, I can't give you a top grade education, but here's what I could do for you. He trained me. That's something that I myself and a few other young men and older men are doing through this Reach Out Ministries Big Brother program.
What role, I don't know how religious your family is, but was church life a part of your upbringing?
Most definitely. We began, I went to first St. Vincent de Paul Catholic school, where it was just a phenomenal experience. My teachers were very, focused on, I won't say religion, but more Christianity. Then I transitioned to Catholic High, which is another Catholic school. So it was always saying we were Catholics. Since that time, I have, shifted away from Catholicism or any religion. I'm non-denominational, but and I've always followed a great man. I call him my spiritual mentor, Dr. Miles Monroe. He's no longer with us, but the kingdom is something that my father, my mother, they have always kept. Both my younger brother Odessa and I are heirs to. There's some laws. My dad always was much deeper, and he's a very, very deep man. He had exercises where he would, look at a cup and ask you what you see. And if it was a glass, I would see, sand. I would see a furnace. I would see, different things. He helped me to develop this, skill set of just looking deeper into situations. And that's how I tend to look at life. I try to go just beyond the surface level and, talking about the gap there of where there's no men in the household right now. That came on the back of a few things, one of which was this 2008-2009 Great Recession. For me, I was around 24, 25 at the time, and that changed my entire world. My outlook on life and those I feel succeed me, we have a different outlook on life after. From personal experience, during that time, I remember vividly, I was trying to get my first mortgage. I was gainfully employed. I was the owner of a profitable business, Powerhouse Gym in 8 Mile Rock. We soon be back, so everybody in 8 Mile Rock, stay tuned.
I'll charge you for that plug.
No, but I just was in this mode of, hey, I needed to invest in something. And I went into, I won't call the bank's name, I went into the bank, had everything. And on January 31st, they called me and told me that I had been denied. And I thought I was a shoo-in for this mortgage. And that was the story of our lives. The preceding generation, my dad, those, when they were trying to get into a house, they were actually giving it away to them. Here it is, I'm a young man, I'm trying to do something substantial with my life, and I was denied. And that for me made me know, and I shifted my focus in saying that, hey, no one could really tell me how it felt to live through the second most depressed state in our economy. I had to live that. So, you know, when older men were telling me, oh, you can't talk about this, you can't, I could talk about that. You can't tell me about that. And I believe that's what the youth feel. The youth feel that, hey, I have some experiences because I'm living through some mager times right now, as opposed to the 70s, 80s, when, you know, it was your time. Your time, you had everything, you know, just laid out to you. People were moving in houses, no down payment. I wish. I wish.
Well, your transition to, after your father laid that foundation, you transitioned to high school in Florida. Tell us about the transition from there to Iowa.
It was, I had to grow up really quickly. You know, coming from the Bahamas, being so close, like only a 20, 30-minute flight, and then you also have this stigma placed on you when you're in the United States. Any young male, Bahamian male, yes, but especially when you're from the islands, you can attest that when you're around, you know, young men or young women who have never gotten out of their state, much less their county, they have a very limited outlook as to on perspective of who you really are. So I found myself having to, you know, really explain or be ambassador for the Bahamas. I ran track and field, I played basketball, traveled throughout the United States and abroad during that time. And, you know, I always wrapped my 242 Bahamas shirts, but that was the good side. The bad side was I was living in Liberty City. And
over time.
Yes, and the element when, you know, you had a few people who would be like, you know what, I can keep you away from this. But then you also had a few people who glorify, you know, like the drug life. Or, hey, you know, I see you.
In less than a minute, as we get ready to wrap this session, how did you stay out of those dark parts?
I tight-roped, but I stayed out just because of what that seed that was instilled in me by my parents. I just, you know, stuck towards the goal. I came here for a reason, and I had a Division I scholarship in sights, and I didn't want to mess it up at any point. So
you would say that purpose protected you?
And that is the main word I would use, purpose. Everything that you know, my dad taught me is you must be purposeful with anything that you do.
Wonderful, and that's the message I take it to young black Bahamian men, that find your purpose.
Yes.
And some of us don't believe you can find that without finding your God. You're watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock. We'll be right back with you after this.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Hi, would you like to try our chunk noodles?
I only come in here for 2 items.
Okay, but it'll only take 1 second, and it's so delicious. Just 1 second.
Yeah, everything tastes delicious. Wow, it's really good. Where do I find it in the store?
Right this way, let me do it. Okay. Thanks.
Glad to see you. Do the shuffle. It's been a while, do the shuffle.
I can't do a shuffle.
You know what? You need this.
What's that?
Junkanoo juice medley.
That's it. Give me some more.
Come on, yeah, that's it. Jamaica Bahama Imports. Always got it.
Come on down and get your Junkanoo juice today.
My name is Regilio Bethel. My position on board Equinox is mate, relief captain. I must say that during our travels and journeys throughout the Exuma Keys, we've had a few dark or dead spots. Basically, there was no service. They were just dark spots. We would basically be dead ship out in the cold without any communication. And it's been like that for years, and we've gotten used to it. But life has now provided us with a service in which we can stay communicated during our entire voyages. And I've been waiting for Live to bring their service up to more coverage throughout the Bahamas, which they've done in an amazing amount of time. So yeah, I would encourage them all to get that service. It's an awesome service, no interruptions, and it's awesome.
Hello, I'm Wendell Jones, and every time I sit down and I watch JCN television, I drink the Jamaica Bahama fruit juice. It's so pleasing to the palate.
I've been cooking Bahamian dishes for generations. I now use Jamaica Bahamas product. The rice is very fluffy, very tasty, and good eating. Jamaica Bahama product is simply the best.
As an insurance agent, my life is go, go, go. But whenever I need a refreshing break, it's Jamaica Bahamas Island Mixed Fruit Drink. Good.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bartlett from GEMS 105.9 FM. The effect that Island Junkanoo Juice Medley has on me is exhilarating.
It's the market for the entire family. Sawyer's Fresh Market. Bahamian owned and operated, Sawyer's is known for the lowest prices on meats, produce, fresh fruits, and vegetables. Check them out on Facebook and the Freeport News to find out all of their weekly specials and their monthly blowout sales. Sawyer's Fresh Market. Your grocery bill just got lower.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and we are here today having a discussion with a very interesting young Bahamian and successful young Bahamian, Mr. Omar Isaacs. And Mr. Isaacs serves in the Office of the Prime Minister as an investment officer in the Bahamas Investment Authority. Didn't mention when we did the intro, you have a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science, focused on international relations, and a master's degree in organizational management and leadership, which makes you qualified to talk about what we will get into, which is some nation building stuff.
Okay.
But let's look at where we are in Grand Bahama. This island has meandered, been struggling. I mean, the dictionary have run out of adjectives on the, in fact, a couple visited us, my family, a few weeks ago, and when they, after a few days of going around and enjoying our wonderful island, they start asking, what is the issue? They haven't seen an island so well laid out outside of the U.S., and so well planned and seemed organized and infrastructure. And why haven't we boomed like other places, especially now the U.S. economy is doing well? And so it begs the question I've asked so many times, and I'm asking you, you're in the Office of Investment, what is missing? What is it that is missing from the formula to get Grand Bahama from where it is to where it needs to be?
That's a nice one. I could hug my hands. I could hug it though. I'll embrace it. I believe it was Proverbs that says, where there's no vision, the people will perish. But, and it's always a but, and I don't hear people cite this but he that keepeth the law, he will be happy.
Now, Mr. Isaacs,
yes,
are you suggesting that we as a people have visionless leaders?
No, I did not go there at all. At all.
Okay.
I didn't go there at all.
Please
no.
clarify.
Yes, I would say that, and I'll take it back and contextualize it. Here we are in 2018, and a lot that I've seen, because like I say, I'm born from here, I haven't seen much change in much less the mindsets of the citizenry. I haven't seen much of a change as to an injection of new things, new persons who have come in and say that, you know what, this has not worked like this for so long. I'm going to, make a change. I'm going to personally take this upon myself to do this. And I'll ask you this question. If it takes a village to raise a child, what do you think about an economy? What do you think about an island like Grand Bahama? It isn't anything that I feel is external that needs to come in and change this or shift the tide. It's something that has to happen within and from within each one of the communities especially.
The question that naturally comes to mind is, how do you really, and you don't have to answer this if you can't, but how do you really divorce what you said earlier, which was so powerful? Without vision, people perish. How do you excuse leadership, whether it's from the Grand Bahama Port Authority or the government of the Bahamas, from the state of Grand Bahama? And we're not just for the sake of viewers, and we know I get the emails, and we've got a divide in our country.
Yes.
Like when Moses stretched the rod, you've got the PLP on one side, you've got the FNM on the other. So let's just clear this up.
Yes.
We're talking about both organizations and all those who've had the privilege of leading. How do we divorce our leaders, present and past, from responsibility as from where this island and where this country is? How do we divorce them? It doesn't seem possible and reasonable to divorce the fact that there is some issue having to do with leadership and vision that has left us where we are.
Yeah.
I know you're suggesting that it takes a village or a community, but even in Bible days, someone has always, even God who created man, has always had to identify a leader to provide God's vision for our people. And so if God had to find a leader, I don't know how we excuse leaders from providing a vision for people to follow.
And thank you, for that lead in. It would be foolish to say that there's not a systematic problem that is hampering Grand Bahama, Freeport specifically. But there is more to Grand Bahama than Freeport. And I made sure to mention that it was something that needed to happen in communities in order to, not divorce leaders, but to draw them in. You have these constituencies. When you have somebody in that constituency, the persons are looking to you in order to speak on their behalf, bring change on their behalf, and foster things that would make that community successful. And like I mentioned, when you look to east and west, and even south Grand Bahama, to me, that's where my childhood, I was reared in Hunters. And right now that's out of the Freeport jurisdiction, and just as a blank canvas for any visionary who feels the need not to be in the Freeport jurisdiction, but they want to build something that's going to lively up that part of the island.
But if I may, you need, in any progressive society, you need people.
Yes.
Business people don't invest. Local or foreign investors do not invest in environments that do not have bodies. You need numbers to be able to succeed, to have any successful business. Isn't it true that Grand Bahama has lost a significant portion of its population, and without numbers, you can't attract quite a bit of investment that we can have. Yes. You can't be successful in attracting them without having people.
Correct, and that's why I've been around, and in my current capacity, I know of the UB being free of charge now. Certain courses at UB at BTVI, there is a reaction that has been made recently to help in rearing minds for the new knowledge-based economy. Exercise like that will be helpful, but I'm just a type of person that you can't be so dependent that you always look to someone else to cure the ills inside your own society. If you step out every day out your doors and you see the persons that are around you, a part of our, just being here on earth and paying our rent for life is to instill in others, is to instill in our community. It's just up to persons, that's just my view, that's my stance. It's up to Grand Bahamians to put Grand Bahamians first, to get out and not be, for lack of better term, selfish. Start pouring into others.
Okay, let's talk a little about your role and your function as an investment officer.
Yes.
In the Prime Minister's office in the Investment Authority. Can you say to the country, what is it that you do?
Well, I do have a marketing background. One of the credentials that I did receive was a postgraduate diploma in global consumer marketing from the University of Liverpool during my 3-4-year stint as I worked for the Ministry of Tourism in the UK. And, I always tried to dovetail my practical international business experience with theory. And I believe that's what led me into my newest role is the fact that I'm around the table assisting with the development of the Tech Hub initiative and building the brand profile around that initiative.
How is that going?
For me, it has been a one-of-a-kind experience.
How so?
Because I'm able to see revolution happening right in front of me. I'm actually a part of it. And I said it to say this. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a knowledge-based economy that's, we're in it. I have one of my good friend, Dario Roberts, who always gave me this one, sequence. He said there was first the Stone Age, and then there was the Industrial Age. We are currently knee-deep in the digital age and the information age being driven by the internet. And there's a whole slew of people that are right now doing some, I dare to say, ingenious things with technology, within this digital revolution, like the blockchain technology, like artificial intelligence, just like digital marketing, if you want to, stay at a lower level. These things are something that are tools that I have to use in order to get to the greater masses, and I believe they are being used in some awesome ways.
And do you accept, I've seen enough bright young Bahamians like yourself who is frankly staying away from coming back home because there is a lack of opportunity for them to use their skills and to be paid for it. And do you accept that, notwithstanding what the efforts of yourselves in your department and others, that unless some creative method happens and happen real fast, we are going to permanently lose many of our own people, young people, the younger generation, who is going off to school, getting involved in educating themselves. I have a daughter myself who's away in college now, and I'm applying pressure even now, years out, trying to say Uncle Sam's country is not yours. But the reality is that you get educated, you get a company paying you a lot more money, and you're not even certain of getting a job at home. So is your department, and by extension the ministry, looking seriously at hastening your efforts and also strategically planning alongside as to how you can recruit Bahamians to come back to Grand Bahama or to come back to the Bahamas to help?
The short answer is yes. It is an integrated effort that I've been seeing in my newest capacity, and the initiative that I like to highlight is being spearheaded by the Consul General and the Consulate in Atlanta, where they are building a skills bank or a skill set bank of young Bahamians that are out throughout the U.S. Who have specific skill sets. And for me, that is revolutionary within itself. It's something that we haven't done, and now we're going to be at this point where we're going to peer into a database of young Bahamians who have pride and want to make a contribution. Now, I'm kind of torn on your question, because the second part to it is, of my personal view, I don't feel like Bahamians have done enough to be colonists, to go out and colonize and make our mark elsewhere. So I would love to see it, whereas we
Some
do
would say
attract.
there's not enough of us.
Exactly. We go, and I'm speaking from personal experience. We go to a place, and I would see little Haiti. I could see little Italy. I can see, little Havana. But I never seem to find little Bahamas. And I've been throughout the United States. We seem to, want to camouflage, but I want, persons to know that it's okay to go and plant our flag. Buddy, those are doing it now. One of my good friends, Yolette McPhee, she's making her mark, and everywhere that they go, I'm so proud to see them just displaying the 242, showing the pride, but also letting persons know that what you see before you is something that was reared by what we're doing in Grand Bahama.
Wonderful. You're watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and right back at you right after these messages.
So, what are we gonna watch?
I want to watch Spider-Man.
I have the popcorn. No, I don't want to watch that again. Let's watch something else.
So, what do we think?
We'll take it.
Great.
At Home Design Center, you'll find everything you need to breathe new life into your home. Furniture and accessories that will give you the style, comfort, and accents your whole family will fall in love with. It'll feel like home before you even get it there. Home Design Center. Make your house a home.
My name is Regilio Bethel. My position on board Equinox is mate, relief captain. I must say that during our travels and journeys throughout the Exuma Keys, we've had a few dark or dead spots. Basically, there was no service. They were just dark spots. We would basically be dead ship out in the cold without any communication. And it's been like that for years, and we've gotten used to it. But life has now provided us with a service which we can stay communicated during our entire voyages. And I've been waiting for Live to bring their service up to more coverage throughout the Bahamas, which they've done in an amazing amount of time. So yeah, I will encourage them all to get that service. It's an awesome service, no interruptions, and it's awesome.
It's the market for the entire family. Sawyer's Fresh Market. Bahamian owned and operated, Sawyer's is known for the lowest prices on meats, produce, fresh fruits, and vegetables. Check them out on Facebook and the Freeport News to find out all of their weekly specials and their monthly blowout sales. Sawyer's Fresh Market. Your grocery bill just got lower.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Hi, would you like to try our chunk noodles?
I only come in here for 2 items.
Okay, but it'll only take 1 second and it's so delicious. Just 1 second.
Yeah, everything tastes delicious. Wow, it's really good. Where do I find it in the store?
Right this way, let me do it. Okay. Thank you.
Glad to see you. Do the shuffle. It's been a while, do the shuffle.
I can't do shuffle.
You know what? You need this.
What's that?
Junkanoo Juice Medley.
That's it. Give me some more.
Come on, yeah, that's it. Jamaica Bahama Imports. Always got it.
Come on down and get your Junkanoo juice today.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock. We're coming to you live from Grand Bahama, Kenai Media to be exact. And we are having a wonderful, wholesome, informative discussion with a brilliant young Bahamian man. And we are talking, of course, to Mr. Omar Isaacs. Mr. Isaacs, we want to focus more so about the future of our country. You talked about your role in the investment authority here. I have to throw this at you. Many Grand Bahamians are of the view that Freeport's, Grand Bahama's challenge, and Freeport more specifically, but Freeport seemed to be, it has for ages since the Port Authority came in, been the driving force to the entire island. So that the real issue here is that the Port Authority, some say, is in the way of progress. Others say, no, it's the government. What really, from your experience, what really is the right combination or the key to really getting this place moving?
For me personally, I claim Grand Bahama outright. And I'm speaking about from East End to West End and everywhere in between. Because I did, just a little study of my own, a little survey of my own, and see that we have some lively, what I consider microeconomies, like the Williamstown, which has an anchor property of Island Seas. And it's so beautiful there that you have so many persons coming into that community, and I'm going to use them as an example, and they are creating their own little buzz. If they were like a piston in an engine, they're their own little piston. They getting down right now. You got Pine Tree Stables that come in there. You got Erica Gates that come in and lively up the community, and people are actually living off the traffic that they're driving through that community. Why can't that be replicated throughout Grand Bahama? Because
so what's stopping it?
That's something that I can't put a finger on, but I can tell you this much: where persons would want to make some money, they're not making that money. And I go even further. Let me clarify what I'm saying. You have a capital issue. People are getting a hold of capital and investing in their own communities. That's something that I believe is a hurdle. It's something that I have experienced, and I believe that's one hurdle that we must overcome, which is why I'm a proponent just recently of credit unions. Persons should look to credit unions now and try and diversify who they engage with when they talk about trying to gather funding for an investment.
Let me just jump in and say this. Is it not true that no matter what bright ideas, and of course they always come back to this need for funding, isn't it not true that if there is sufficient traffic, which is a critical part of the ingredient, that you will find people interested in investing or financing projects, small and medium projects. So what is it a lack of people? Is it a lack of leadership? Is it from government? Is it from the port? Because again, it's, as I said before, it is no sense in beating around the bush. You need a generator. You need a machinery that's bigger than just citizens coming together. That's important.
Okay.
And you talked about that, but you need when Wallace Groves came to Grand Bahama.
Thank you, yes.
I mean, you couldn't ask the Grand Bahamians who are here, people who are struggling, low population, to make this place what it is. So it required.
Yes.
I know some of our people get uncomfortable when you talk about foreign investment and
FDI,
foreign,
yes.
Yeah, right. But can't go around it for a small economy.
No.
So don't you agree that or if not, tell me that a major part of the problem is the people, the population, the lack of population?
I would say striking that perfect balance in getting people to invest in your community because they see something's happening. They see a vision. Before anybody comes and invests in anything, they must first see the potential. Who is there in order to market that potential? That's us. That's us.
But there's some say there's not enough of us.
I can't speak for the some, but I can speak for me. I go through and drive through some of these communities. 8 Mile Rock, the biggest concentration of Bahamians who are living in one settlement, one area in the Bahamas, does not have its own buzzing economy. Something is wrong with that.
And you say that's a mindset?
I would say not just a mindset. It's something that has been reared and marketed for so long that it has been programmed, but that can be changed. You have a whole generation that's coming up now. They don't have to go abroad to get some of the things that they once needed to.
So the question is, again, who will drive that? Are you just depending on citizens to wake up one day and to work together? Are you looking to government? Are you looking to a port authority? Is there an entity? Who's going to start to get the ball moving?
I say it has to come from within first.
So who's going to lead the within people, the people to discover this need to move, to rise up?
That must be the community. That must be.
So you say one has to rise up from the community.
You know, and I'll touch on the outreach ministries that I'm affiliated with right now. The motto has each one reach one. If I'm in a community and I have a vision for my community, I don't think if it's in alignment with the laws of God and morally upright, that my neighbor will not support me in that. And then each one continue to reach another, and we build ourselves up. JFK said it best, and I feel this is the mentality that we should have. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That has to be the mindset, because if it's here, we're looking for somebody external to come in and change Grand Bahama, we can be waiting forever. As a 80s baby on the tail end of being a millennial, I ain't looking for nobody.
What do you say to those who said Wallace Grove came?
Yes, I would say that there is a season, and for every season there's a reason. He came in, he had his season. The Hawkesbury Creek Agreement had its season. Now, new visionaries need to be born. He laid the foundation, and nothing really has changed since then.
Doesn't that point then to the fact that you need another leader with that kind of creativity, whether it's born here, local, or elsewhere?
I see so many leaders around us. I've been blessed enough.
What do they lack to get the kind of creativity?
No, I mean, to your point, and I can speak frankly, and to your point, I honestly feel as if an integrated push, holding hand in hand, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce and just the business community, you know, link up with the citizenry, consumers, suppliers, everybody who knows the potential of this place, say that, you know what, we ain't looking for nobody. These are the structural and systematic things that we're going to put in place in order to not survive and sustain ourselves, but we're going to flourish by these sets of laws and rules that we're going to set for ourselves.
Question. What role does government play in achieving these lofty goals? What really is government's responsibility?
Oh, they are definitely doing their part in making sure that they create the petri dish.
They are doing it, or they should do it?
They're doing it. Of course, you know, or more can be done, and I'm sure that more is in the pipeline. But as of right now, what I'm seeing in terms of things like the Commercial Enterprise Bill, that stands up pretty, you know, hand in hand with EB5, that act or that law that's being established in the United States to attract investments. Commercial Enterprise Bill helps to get any type of visionary that comes to our island from concept to fruition in the shortest amount of time, and import you know, their skill sets in order to help Grand Bahama rise.
Let's talk a little deeper about politics. Are you concerned, as a bright young Bahamian serving in the government, are you concerned about the lack of the younger generation playing a greater role in leadership? And there are some examples. I think your minister, Kwesi Thompson, I believe, is Minister of Grand Bahama, bright young man.
Yes.
And there are other MPs involved in the process. But for the most part, the core of those who have been leading our country are, in fact, people of the older generation. What are your thoughts about continuing on that path, bearing in mind that the nation was not founded in that way? We started out with 30-something, 36-year-old Linden leading, but we were progressively getting older and older. So what's your thoughts quickly on that?
Personally, I see we're at this juncture where persons who don't know are saying, hey, I don't know. I need a more youthful approach. I need a more youthful perspective. And they're seeking it out. Now,
when you say they, you're talking about who?
I'm talking about leadership. I'm talking about leadership on many different levels, both in the community. We're seeing
we're talking specifically, in a few moments remaining, we're talking about political leadership specifically. Yes. I'm saying, are you comfortable as a young, bright young Bahamian with the older generation in leadership, or do you think a part of our problem is that we need fresh minds?
I could strike it right down and say that yes, there is a timing now where youth needs to play a more pivotal role in what's being written, because I can't, and speaking from personal experience, I can't see someone who is digitally illiterate taking what I'm giving to them, being a digital native, not a migrant, and trying to regurgitate what I'm telling them to say. No, I have to get up now and I have to say, hey, this is what I think, and give the entire scope as opposed to just a part of the picture. So I can see where that bridge and that generational gap is being filled by some leaders. But I do think there's more of
that that's needed.
That needs
do you think our current system, and by that I mean, you know, we operate in the Westminster model parliamentary system as opposed to the America that does the republic, democratic republic system. Do you think, generally, broadly speaking, that there needs to be any tinkering with our system to allow a greater participation of citizenry in choosing? For example, I talked ad nauseum about the fact that it's a fact, we choose a package deal as opposed to identifying Omar Isaacs, as opposed to the other guy or the other girl, lady. In choosing leadership, it's just a package deal or a party. Do you think that we should have a system that provides us a greater, forces our people to look more carefully at those who are in leadership.
Most definitely. I believe that the educating, though, of persons themselves as to what this person stands for that's a personal journey. That's something that I need to take responsibility for myself before I go jumping head first into whatever that person's party, that person's organization is a part of.
Right, but you know the culture is what it is, and so in closing, I guess what I'm asking for clarity, and it's important coming from you in your own words, is we will continue this model, and people simply vote out parties and organizations because they're fed up or they're not producing results, and it really doesn't matter who's on the other side they get in, or there's some intelligent approach to analyzing and participating. For example, people argue that Donald Trump is proof that America's system don't work, and I said, silly, it works.
It works,
because
exactly right.
people wanted that. That is what they want, and they chose that at the party level, a constituency level, and they chose it when, of course, it was at the national level. And there's nothing wrong with people choosing whatever they want. I'm a believer, for example, in democracy. So if democracy produces something that I don't like, it's still democracy. I say support it. That's my view. What's yours?
And well, I have a personal vision, and I could speak for myself and my family. And you heard me speak of microeconomies at one point in time. My outlook on the Bahamas and the archipelago is that we are constituted of island states. There are many different island states, and just to go in on what my vision really is to create a united island states of the Bahamas that can operate on its own. That's something that I hope I'll see in my lifetime, but it's something that's sorely needed because each one of us is unique in our own way, and each one of those microeconomies that are in that archipelago can sustain its own existence. That's just a personal view of mine.
Thank you so much for being on our program today, Mr. Isaacs. It's certainly been a delight, and we look forward and we pray for great success for you personally and your work and your ministry, and hope that Grand Bahama will, with bright minds like yourself and others, come out of the place where it is and fulfill its purpose. You've been watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock. It's been a great pleasure bringing this broadcast to you. And stay tuned for the next edition of Nation Building. And have a great week, as always.
Being awarded a free iPhone in the Making A's Pace campaign last year was one of the most exciting things that ever happened to me. I used my phone to play games, chat with friends over the summer break, and watch YouTube videos. Then I got an idea to start my own balloon business. Being able to use my own phone to start up my balloon business was so important to me. I used my phone to research prices and learn how to do balloon designs that I currently offer to my customers today. The internet speed was so good. Oh my gosh, there was no buffering and the videos were very clear. I am so grateful to Alive for my new phone. Thanks Alive. My name is Cara Snows, owner of the Balloon Princess, and I believe in best.
Hello, I'm Wendell Jones, and every time I sit down and I watch JCN television, I drink the Jamaica Bahama fruit juice. It's so pleasing to the palate.
I've been cooking Bahamian dishes for generations. I now use Jamaica Bahamas product. The rice is very fluffy, very tasty, and good eating. Jamaica Bahama product is simply the best.
As an insurance agent, my life is go, go, go. But whenever I need a refreshing break, it's Jamaica Bahamas Island Mixed Fruit Drink. Good.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bartlett from Gems 105.9 FM. The effect that Island Junkanoo Juice medley has on me is exhilarating.